Good morning. Here we are together on another beautiful day. I'm Gail Johnson Vaughn, Worship Associate here at the Unitarian Universalist Community of the Mountains in Grass Valley, California. This morning, I'm standing in the stead of Reverend Kevin, who is taking a time of rest and restoration, what some of us call vacation. Hooray, Kevin. Thank you for all you do for us and all you carry for us in this increasingly challenging time. The rest of our worship team is with you here as well, most behind the scenes. Bob Miller almost magically keeps our services after week. And Beth Caro serves as your chat host. If you run into any technical difficulties, send her a private chat and she'll do her best to help you out. And speaking of technical challenges, I'll remind you that remote live streaming can have its hiccups. Even though I have a new, much more reliable internet provider, from time to time it becomes unstable. So if I freeze for a few seconds, just take a deep breath, soften your brow, and contemplate in the moment what you've heard so far in this service. Given all of that, and given all that is required of us these days, I invite you to join Kevin in singing, "We Are Building a New Way."
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free of hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without peace, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way.
Ah, yes, we are building a new way. Sometimes it seems from whole cloth, and yet many things are still the same. One thing that is still the same is that you are welcome here at the Unitarian Universalist Community of the Mountains. Although our building is closed during this pandemic, our community is very much open and alive. And by being with us here today, you are part of it. You have joined us for the third week in a month of Sundays where we explore what it means to be a people of imagination. Imagination dwells in that special spot between before and after. It dwells in the now. You may remember Reverend Kevin and I sharing Viktor Frankl's quote that between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Well, we've certainly had a lot of stimulus lately, haven't we? How have you done expanding the space that follows so you can choose your response rather than opting for a default option like fear, hopelessness, rage? For me to do that, I've had to wedge one elbow into stimulus and the other into response that wants to hijack my freedom. It looks like this. Stay there, stimulus. Stay back, response. Now, what response will best promote my growth and freedom? But my job right now is to welcome you. It's so tempting to jump in to the response this service strives to make. We have newcomers with us today. Welcome. You have joined us for a very special service. We have long-term members here today, and many who have joined us along the way. Welcome. Today, we're building a new way for our annual celebration of the life and work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. As we revisit once again his I Have a Dream speech, this time in juxtaposition with Langston Hughes' poem, Harlem, which speaks of what happens when a dream is deferred, denied. Our celebration today is a celebration of awe and respect mixed with sadness, perhaps dismay, and yet certainly inspiration. It is a call to action, for each of us has a role to play in fulfilling the dream. Today, we honor Dr. King's powerful legacy through the words of those who carry on the work, words of Black writers, thinkers, UU ministers, and the words and voices of two of our own people, both with lived experience of what it means to have their dream deferred. Because we were not able to obtain permission to stream the actual words of Dr. King's speech or Langston Hughes' poem, we encourage you to do a quick internet search so you can read them for yourselves. Welcome. We're so glad we're here together.
We are Unitarian Universalists. When we lift up our 7 principles, some of us think of them as a form of theology, but they are more important to our collective than that. They do not tell us what we should believe, they tell us how we should be. They tell us how we should act in the larger world and with each other. We are brought here today by the fact that Unitarian Universalism has fallen short of the image that was presented to the world, and to many of those who embrace the religion. But we are also brought here today by the truth that Unitarian Universalism has shifted course to move toward a place of wholeness, a place that perhaps never existed for us as a denomination. It has been a long and sometimes unforgiving road to today. But we are here today because we have hope for the future. We want the practice of this faith to be a fulfilling manifestation of its promise. Open your hearts. Seek new ways of understanding. Come, let us worship together.
As you light your chalice or candle, I want to thank Sophia for being part of our service today. It's great to have you back.
In our commitment to be in respectful and right relationship with the descendants of this area's indigenous people, we include a small basket of black oak acorns on our altar each week. In so doing, we remind ourselves and acknowledge that the Nisenan people are still here among us today, though nearly invisible, that we are on Nisenan land that was never ceded, and that the original tribal families have yet to recover from the near genocide of their people. As residents or visitors in Nisenan land, let us support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people, as well as their campaign to restore federal recognition.
At the young age of 34 years, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. We all know the words, "I have a dream, I have a dream." His dream was simple, that the promise contained in the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution would be made good for all, no matter their skin color, no matter their heritage. All would be guaranteed the unalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Unalienable, that means impossible to take away or deny. His daring to dream and daring to speak his dream for all to hear was so threatening to the ancestors of those who stormed our Capitol last week that it cost Dr. King his life. Why? Dr. King talked about what promise fulfilled would look like. Our nation would live up to its creed that all were created equal. On the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and sons of former slaveholders would sit together in the table of brotherhood. His 4 young children would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Little black boys and girls would be able to join hands with little white boys and girls as sisters and brothers. And the heat of oppression would be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. That was 58 years ago, 58, and 205 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. That is not to say that there's not been forward movement. Senators-elect Warnock and Ossoff now stand hand in hand as senators from those same hills of Georgia. But far too much of the forward movement is mere window dressing that belies the ravages of poverty, ongoing discrimination, and the outright violence and the stench of institutional racism everywhere in America. We are sick at heart that we have let our nation come to this. The great Black poet Langston Hughes wrote in his poem Harlem, where in a few lines he asks, what happens when a dream is deferred, when a dream is denied? A dream, that precious fruit of our imagination, made flesh through our children and theirs. Must they say, oh, well, it's only 205 years since the Declaration of Independence was signed. It's only been 58 years since Dr. King spoke his dream. What does happen when a dream is deferred? Hughes offers many possibilities. Does the dream dry up, fester, stink, crust over? Or perhaps, does it explode? Our service today is titled Dare We Dream. In it, we will build and bring this question home as we hear from some of our own community who have experienced life experience of such dreams deferred. Others will give voice to the written words of gifted Black writers.
A Reflection on Kindness by Tom Wilson. Kindness is a word very near and dear to my heart. I believe it could be the salvation of our divided, wounded nation and the world. I am embracing this word as my spiritual traveling partner for 2021. The etymology of kindness is kin and kind. In Middle English, kindness was defined by noble deeds and courtesy. And though I can't remember where I found this quote, it speaks to the essence of kindness. Quote, "Everything in the world could change in one moment if you saw every living thing as your brother and sister." So kindness is kinship and speaks to our oneness, our interconnectedness in the fabric of existence. His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, brought that definition into the world when he said, "My religion is very simple. My religion is kindness." On a personal level, the kindest person I've ever known was my Uncle Roy. He was born in the Oklahoma Territory in an abandoned shack with snow up to the level of the bed. His father went to look for a doctor, but he never came back, simply abandoning his pregnant wife and unborn child to save himself. So Uncle Roy's mother had to deliver her baby by herself alone. When he retired from Westinghouse Corporation after 40 years, he and my Aunt Tootie would now be able to move from Pittsburgh to their beloved farm in northwestern Pennsylvania. Sadly, his retirement physical revealed terminal lung cancer. So that summer at age 15, I came to assist them in moving into their country home, purchased for their retirement, by painting, planting, mowing, and whatever chores needed to be done. While on the back of a hay baling wagon, I was thrown from the wagon when it hit a large rock. The impact of hitting the ground shattered the ulna and radius of my right arm at the wrist. With my cousin driving the 20 miles to the hospital and Uncle Roy holding me in his arms, I could feel how deeply he was hurting. All these years later, I can still feel the depth of gentleness, empathy, and kindness embodied in his beautiful being.
Today's meditation are the words of Reverend Daniel Gregoire, written this last September. Reverend Daniel titled his piece, "My Ancestors' Dreams." He starts by quoting Audre Lorde, who said in A Litany for Survival, "So it is better to speak, remembering that we were never meant to survive." Reverend Daniel says, "Some days ago, a member of my congregation asked me how I'm coping with all that's going on. A pandemic with no end in sight, the continuous loop of Black men being killed by vigilante police. A president who delights in stoking the fires of suspicion, resentment, and animosity among people as a way of furthering his autocratic agenda and his open fantasy of dictatorship. And as if that were not enough, even the sun appeared to lose some of its shine because of the western wildfires darkening the sky. And this was all before the death of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. God rest her soul and save us all. How do I not fall to pieces every day in a world so clearly on the edge of a vast chasm and anarchy in every valley down below? Everything is bewildering in this brave new world with its checklist of 2020 anxieties. What can save us from the madness and despair in this context?" I told my parishioner that the thing that helps me is remembering that I am not alone in all of this. Yes, I have people around me, my wife, our families, but better still, I have the people who came before me. I have ancestors who were never meant to survive, but they did. They survived the sugar plantations in Haiti, the occupation of their land by American forces in the 20th century, not once, but twice. The brutal dictatorships, exile. I have ancestors and contemporaries who who survived the upheavals of the 1960s in the United States, the riots in cities across the nations, the crack epidemic, and the AIDS epidemic, and the violence of New York City against Black people, immigrants, gay people, all during times when the very future of that place was in question. I am my ancestors' wildest dream come true, and I would not be here if it weren't for their dreamings, their hopes, and most importantly, their living. None of us would be here if it were not for those who lived and won the fight they were not meant to survive. That's what helps me, what helps you. Let us pray. Oneness of life and love and spirit of our ancestors, help us to transform our fears into courage needed to create the world we desire.
Hello, UU family. I'm going to sing a song with you called Shine on Me. It's an amazing spiritual that anybody can sing. And in these days when the things that we're dealing with, the feeling separate and all of that, and things seem so hard, this is one of those songs that you just throw your head back, put it in your medicine kit. All you have to do is ask. And here's how it goes. Shine on me, oh shine on me, Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Oh, shine on me. Yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Lift me up, oh, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up, oh, lift me up. Yes, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up. Oh, hold me close. Yes, hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse hold me close. Yes, hold me close. So hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse, please hold me close. Oh, shine on me, shine on me. Yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Oh, shine on me. Yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. All you have to do is just ask. The light is always there. Always. Always. Oh, yeah.
A quote by Claudia Rankine. When white men are shooting black people, some of it is out of malice, and some an out-of-control image of blackness in their minds. Darren Wilson told the jury he shot Michael Brown because he looked like a demon, and I don't disbelieve it. Blackness in the white imagination has nothing to do with black people.
I had a dream that one day I could go to college, that I could buy a house, get married, raise children, and take vacations. I had a dream that when I applied for a job, I would not be offered a different position because of my ethnicity, my accent, or my looks, that I have the same chance to prove myself as others for the same job. I had a dream to create a family business or employee-owned business to share the profits. I had a dream that when my daughter asked me to take her on vacations, I can afford it. I had a dream to have family support to raise my daughter. I have a dream that when I depart this world, I will have the peace of mind that my daughter will have the family support and the non-biased world, country, and community to continue on, where she can be happy.
When I asked Tracy to spend some time with us, I said, this isn't going to be all about Color Me Human. It's going to be about Tracy as a human being in the world at this point, with a long heritage of things that shouldn't happen to her family and all the rest. So we're just gonna chat. And given that that we are where we are right now in history, with January 5th just blotting out most of everything else, I can't resist asking you first, what were your impressions? What were your feelings in viewing the violence at the Capitol that day?
First, let me say, Gail, thank you for inviting me to participate like this. And I want to say that initially this was to have been a written response. But as a result of what happened on January 6th, so much began to happen that I had to take my attention away from writing this submission. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview my reflections. And I think that, back to your question, what was going through my mind that day, it was a myriad of emotions. There was sadness, there was anger, fear, just disbelief of what I saw was happening. But I think that what really impacted me most, and what I'm carrying with me in these days following January 6th event, is that so many people were really, really surprised that this happened. My surprise was not that it happened. It was that it was the magnitude of what happened. And I was thrown back by how many people were surprised by this, because Gail, myself and many other people of color have been saying that this was coming for a long time. And in fact, Color Me Human was formed based on a knowledge and a feeling that it was going to be needed, because these things were they had started happening more, and that they were going to continue to happen at an increased rate. And that is what's happening. And so as I sat there and I watched it, and I was glued, like many of us were, to what was happening all day, I began, as I said, the fear and the concern. I really started to think about, how do I protect myself, and how do I help others in the community protect themselves? And that is sort of what I have been working on, and we, the BIPOC in the community, we have been working on since January 6th. How to protect ourselves and how to support each other.
Nonstop. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Pretty amazing and shocking stuff. And lots of people I talk to say, yeah, well, if the mob had been dark skin, it would have been different. You want to speak to that?
Right. I'm really glad to have you say that. And I have been hearing that a lot and reading it a lot. And what it tells me is that there is more of a recognition of the systemic problems in our country. Because we all know that if it had brown, we saw what would happen. And in fact, in Seattle and in Washington and in Chicago and all around the nation, there were peaceful protests going on, and we saw the extent of how they were met by police officers, by law enforcement, and so saw the difference. It was very clearly there for us on January 6th. So, on one hand, it's nice that more people are waking up to the reality of this. They can't deny it right now. So that actually fills me with some hope. It's just unfortunate that it had to get to this point for more people to begin to wake up to the realities of what we have known and what I have known all of my, I won't even say adult life, because I started recognizing these things when I was very young. Yeah. Most people of color do.
Yeah, I would think, and that's part of the whole work that we're doing at UUCM and other places that people are doing it, is really coming to grips with the fact that white privilege is really, really there, and we don't even know it. It's the air that we breathe. Making it visible is an interesting challenge. I'm really proud of UUCM for stepping up and having leadership around that and creating opportunities and having the courage. Part of our mission statement is that with courageous love, we do this stuff, having the courage to look at ourselves in a clear mirror and say, oh, I'm part of that. What can I do?
And I echo what you say about courage. It does take courage. It takes courage to be self-reflective and to go deep and to seek the truth at a level that we all know it to be deep inside. It takes courage to do that. It also takes courage to step out and step up in support of people who have been oppressed historically and who are victims of the systemic racism. Well, actually, we are all victims of systemic racism, but the direct victim of systemic racism, because that's what it's going to take courage. And I am proud of UUCM. So I know, for instance, the Challenging White Privilege group. I've known that they have existed for a while. And the fact that UUCM has that, and the fact that there are real allies out there, make living while Black in a rural county much more bearable. And so the courage for you all to do what you do, to step up and to support, we appreciate it, and I appreciate it. And I thank all of the UUCM members.
Would you talk a bit about living while Black in America and in Nevada County?
Yes. I will say that, when you're young and things happen to you, you accept it. And that's as it is. It's as you get older and you really begin to see the differences of how people are treated and instances happen to you that make you go, wait, what is this? So living while Black for me means, like my mother used to always say, one of the things is whatever you do, you're going to always have to do it better because of your Black skin. That was an acknowledgement that I would always be, and most Black people are underestimated or considered to be something that they're not. And so I would have to always try harder and work better and do better. That's one aspect that has formed my life as well, in terms of living while Black. Living while Black for me also means that there's so many ways that it happens. I assume that people know about it, but I'm learning that when I say things like, it hurts to know that I can't go wherever I want to go in the United States to live. My considerations about where I live are very different from yours, say, or another white person. I have to look at how many people of color in that community. I do research on racial incidents in that community. I look at so many different things from the perspective of being Black and my safety and my family's safety. And I did my due diligence before I moved to Nevada County. And I knew that there were folks in this community that would prefer that I not be here. But I also knew that there were many, many more folks who wanted me to be here. And I stepped out on faith that I would be okay in this community and that that I would be safe. I have to say that I'm not feeling quite as safe anymore. But in terms of living while Black, it also means, for instance, that I can't go jogging certain places. And I can't go by myself other places. I have to go with someone who is white to validate my being there. Something as simple as riding on a country road. I recently purchased an electric bike because I had wanted to get more exercise, and for about 2.5, 3 months, I had been riding it around, and it's just given me so much freedom and such an opportunity to see parts of Nevada County that I'd never seen before. Well, when things happened on the 6th, I haven't been back out. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe going out riding, whether I'm by myself or with someone else, particularly in the back roads. I just don't know what to expect. And so for me, it's living while Black means that I can enjoy some of the activities that are good for me and that I want to do because of the color of my skin, because of fear of folks out there who may not think that I should be where I am. It also means living while Black means talking to my children who are mixed. They're interracial. Letting them know that despite the fact that they're interracial, many people will only see them as Black. Therefore, they have to be just as careful as I have to be. They have to be just as cautious as I have to be. That's a conversation that I'm sure that you've heard that many brown and Black mothers have to have with their children. That shouldn't have to be. Being Black means being on jobs that I've had that I knew I was being treated differently. So I had to leave because the treatment was so bad. So that means that in terms of a profession, I have some setbacks that may not be the same setbacks that other folks may have. Being Black, living while Black is an integral part of who I am, and I wouldn't change it for the world. What I would change is how I am treated because I am Black. And that is what I work diligently to try to have an impact on.
You know, I started this service telling our flock that this service was not just a tribute to Dr. King's life and work, but it was also a call to action. What would you like to see members of UUCM and friends, and individually and collectively, what action would you like to see us take?
That is a great question. Thank you for asking that question. And I think that the answer has to be answered both on a personal level,
yes, and
on a group level. On a personal level, I would say our true allies truly need to take care of themselves because we need you. We need you healthy, we need you happy, and we need you present, and we need you to be engaged. That means take care of yourself, take care of your spiritual, your mental, your physical self. Also, as an individual, one of the best things that you can do is to educate yourself, to take it upon yourself, to learn as much as you can about white privilege, about racism in America. Because the next step that you can do is one of the most important ones, which is talk to your fellow neighbors, talk to your families. Coming from a white person with the privilege to be able to say whatever they have to say and be listened to by another white person, that is how privilege really can be utilized and amplified and leveraged. So educating yourself about racism, so then in turn you can talk with other folks whenever the opportunity comes back up. It doesn't have to be a formal presentation. And in fact, it's best if it's just in the course of conversations, and do it in such a way where you won't be alienating folks, but you will be raising questions that will make them think. Bringing up questions and that are thoughtful, that will make them think, is a way to do it. And also, I know what has helped me greatly during this last year or two is when I have my friends reach out and say, I just wanted to call to see if you wanted to talk. Or I just wanted to call to let you know that you're on my mind. I wanted to call to let you know that what I'm seeing is really upsetting to me, and it must be upsetting to you. So what can I do, right? On a group level, use the leverage that you have as a group and as a trusted church in the community to educate when you can, to support folks that are doing the work in the community, brown and Black folks, whether it's an organization or individuals, support them in their efforts as best you can. Also, what you can do as a group is to reach out to other churches possibly, and show them what you're doing with your challenging white privilege. Share with them what you get out of it, and encourage them to do the same, and offer your help to help them do the same. But mostly, just be there as support when we need you to be.
Yeah. What a time to be on the planet. What a time to be people of conscience and courage that's required. And it's really helpful to hear those words, Tracy, and to know that if we reach out to you, you will tell us, I'm fine and I'm going to get on this next call, or whatever it is. But knowing that we can sprinkle you with our love and concern, and perhaps we can help your garden inside grow as well.
Absolutely.
That would be really, really lovely. So Reverend Kevin and I titled this service, Dare We Dream. Tracy, do you dare to dream?
I will say, Gail, that I dare to imagine. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a distinction there. In my mind, dreaming is an unconscious thing that happens when you are not awake. Imagination is an active use of your mind to visualize what you want to see. I would rather imagine the America that I want it to be than to dream about it. And so, yes, I dare to imagine. It's that imagining what we can be that keeps me going. And I have a big imagination.
Amen. Amen. I can't thank you enough for this time, but I know that everyone is going to be deeply appreciative and hungry to be able to be part of the transformation that you're leading in our county, which then, of course, reflects out in the world.
Thank you, Gail. And I can't say how happy I am that the UU community is there. I really can't express how happy and how comforted I am to know that you all are there and that I am becoming a part of this group.
Hooray, hooray.
You've often heard me talk about passing the basket, even the virtual one, as an important ritual. Reverend James Luther Adams called the offering a sacrament of the free church. Why such weighty words for simple fundraising? Well, as Liz James, a Unitarian Universalist from Canada, says about rituals like this, They're about becoming something larger than ourselves and taking our place within our communities. When you use Pass the Plate on Sunday to every hand present, it is an act of saying who we are and what we believe in. It's a ritual we use not only to transform the world, but to transform ourselves. She continues, what happens with the money that is collected is another expression of who we are. The funds are not spirited away to some higher governing body. Decisions about how money is spent are made locally and democratically in the congregation. When the collection is split for philanthropic purposes, the decision of which organizations we share it with reflects our belief and values. Normally, I'm not one to sign up to ask for money, and when I first became worship associate, I dreaded this part of the service. But as my connection and commitment to UUCM has grown, so has my trust in the values of our rituals. I believe, as Ms. James says, how we choose to give connects us to something larger than ourselves. UUCM's mission is to create a world more compassionate, sustainable, and just. And that is just the kind of big picture thinking I can get behind. Another idea I can support is helping the houseless in our community. This month's Pass the Plate partner is Sierra Roots, an organization doing just that. Please see the following slide for ways to give generously to support our highest ideals.
Although we're not passing the basket in person, your generosity remains essential to our ability to sustain the work of our community. There are several ways to contribute. You may text an amount to 833-579-0483, give via our website at uugrassvalley.org, via PayPal at paypal.me/UUCM, or mail to UUCM 246 South Church Street, Grass Valley, California, 95945. Thank you.
Thank you for your generosity. Let us dedicate these offerings to our work as a congregation and to helping those in our community who are most vulnerable.
We have so many people to thank today and so little time to do it. So I'm going to quickly say that these services would just not happen without all of this huge team that helps produce them and all of you who support us in our efforts. I'm not going to take time to read them all because we're already over time, but just if you go all the way through, for readers, our thanks, and also to the authors who kindly let us use their words to speak going forward, and the beautiful illustrations that Yashiti Harrison gave to us. Thank you.
Here's my song, Put One Foot in Front of the Other. And the verses are call and response. And here's how it goes. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared, and I'm scared too. But here I am, right next to you. We gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. We gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And lead with love. And lead with love. There you go. That's the song. I love you.
Today's service was not just a celebration of the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, but also a call to action. Please let these words guide your actions as you leave today. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change we seek. Barack Obama. And Rod Bresney gives us more guidance. Your uprising against the forces of darkness has got to be more than to say no. A fierce, primal yes should be the heart of your crusade. That fierce, primal yes is the flame we carry as we carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. Wow. Okay. Well, Kevin will be back with us next Sunday as we celebrate President Biden's inauguration. This week will likely be a complex week for our nation and the right time to move forward as we speak of healing the heart of democracy.